It's Monday. It's Labor Day. I didn't have to work today. I still don't feel good, but the show must go on. Welcome back to an independent point of view. I do not need to introduce myself because if you've been listening to this show for the last year plus, you would know who I am. Now, first and foremost, happy Labor Day to everybody. And also remember why this day is possible. Thank you to the troops that have made it so that I can celebrate today, which I celebrated by doing my laundry and putting up all 9,000 of my wrestling shirts. But enough of me. Going back to June and July, I had on the wrestlers from Tier 1 Wrestling as they were gearing up for their debut show titled A New Hope. I went to that show, me and my friend Shannon, we went, and we had a blast. So, now Tier 1's coming back, October 2nd, Queens, New York. I'm going to pull everything up right now. Titled Rumble in the Concrete Jungle. It's at our studios, 100-17 Atlantic Avenue, Queens, New York, 11418. Tier 1, they're currently running a special from now until Friday, $15 for front row, $10 for general admission. All you gotta do is, I'm gonna give you guys the PayPal right now. If you wanna purchase a discounted ticket, it's where'd it go? It's tier1wrestling@gmail.com. So now on today's show, I'm gonna be interviewing somebody who didn't have a match on the first show, but saved Bonesaw Jesse Brooks from Ashley America and JGeorge, and now he's in an intergender mixed tag match coming up at Rumble in the Concrete Jungle with some pretty big stipulations for Bonesaw if she loses. If she loses, she's done with Tier 1. But there was something that she gets if she wins. I just don't remember. I will ask Alex Mason once he gets on. So I'm actually going to shoot him a message telling him he can call in whenever. I cannot type today. I think this is one of the earliest times I've ever done a show. So, how did I get my Ambrose photo already? It's already up, you knucklehead. But, yeah, if you're in the Queens, New York area, Friday night, October 2nd, check out Tier 1. And, Mr. Mason, if this is you, please hit 1. That way I know it is you. And not just a listener. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome my first guest of the Tier 1 Project Round 2 in an intergender tag match on October 2nd. Him and Bonesaw Jesse Brooks taking on Ashley America and JGeorge. I'm going to present to you Mr. Alex Mason. Alex, how are you doing today on this wonderful Monday?
What's going on, John? Just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on the show. It is an honor and a privilege on being here.
Definitely, and it's an honor for me as well because you are the first person on the second round of my Tier 1 interview. So definitely honors all around.
Thank you so much.
Now, for the people that don't know who you are, tell everybody about yourself.
Well, to make a long story short, my name is Alex Mason. I'm an independent professional wrestler over here on the East Coast of the United States, primarily located in New York. I have wrestled for various companies, and now I am a premier athlete over on Tier 1 Wrestling, and just making an itch and waiting for October 2nd to come around so I can prove to the world that, of course, that I am everything that I say I am, and it's going to begin with the desolation of JGeorge and Ashley America.
Now, at the first show, at A New Hope, you weren't scheduled for a match. However,
right.
you made your presence known after JGeorge and Ashley America attacked Bonesaw Jesse Brooks. What made you decide to come out to help her?
Well, that's a very interesting question because it actually it goes one of many ways. Now, JGeorge is looking to bully his way to the top of Tier 1 by trying to make a name for himself, and that's completely understandable in today's day and age. You have to do what you have to do in order to make an impact, and JGeorge just decided to make, the wrong impression on the wrong person. Now, Jessie Brooks is an incredible athlete. For a woman, she is unbelievable in the ring, and, I think that he personally just happened to have ruined that moment for her by stepping in there and putting his hands on her, and it doesn't make JGeorge any more of a man to put his hands on a woman, and I couldn't help but just happen to get involved because nobody else in the back would. And JGeorge, while in the back, I was watching him, observing him. He was a very arrogant person running around, just loud mouth in the locker room, and I really wasn't expecting him to make any sort of impact until he did, and somebody had to stand up to him. And JGeorge is nothing more than a bully. He's trying to bully his way to the top, and in order for him to pretty much, do so, he's going to have to go through me. And especially with the empowerment of women today, for him as a man to put his hands on a woman, it doesn't make him any more predictable than a coward on the street.
Fair enough. Now, coming up October 2nd at Rumble in the Concrete Jungle, you will be teaming with Bonesaw Jesse Brooks to take on the team of Ashley America and JGeorge. Now, the stakes in this match are high, as if your team loses, Bonesaw's gone.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this huge match?
Well, it's a very interesting stipulation because, people's jobs are on the line here. Now, if by some chance, by the miracle of God, if JGeorge pulls off a victory, Jesse Brooks is gone, and I think that'll be a very devastating blow to Tier 1's wrestling, women's division, because Jesse Brooks is, I believe, one of the best females out there, especially in terms of competition. And on October 2nd, I'm going in there with Jesse Brooks not only to just win a match, but to prove a point and to allow someone to keep their job. And everything is on the line because this just means that if JGeorge loses, Jesse Brooks has an opportunity to, step in the ring with him one-on-one and whoop his ass all up and down the arena, which I personally am looking forward to because that is why, that's one of the many reasons why I'm going into this match, is to allow Jesse Brooks to have that moment because, as I said, JGeorge was the one that interfered and, cost her that moment at New Hope. And what better redemption, what better, revenge, I guess you could say, than for Jesse Brooks to have her moment by beating JGeorge during their one-on-one match. So there's a lot on the line here, not just for myself, but for Jesse Brooks and the entire staff. So if she's gone, I think it'll be a devastating blow to the women's division at Tier 1 Wrestling. But we're going into that match October 2nd with the mindset of winning and nothing more.
Now, what do you know about JGeorge and Ashley America, other than JGeorge being somebody who likes to hit women?
Well, JGeorge, I believe, is a narcissist in his own way. Now, he is a tremendous athlete. Got to give him that. I've been following JGeorge for a while. Granted, at times he could be just as unpredictable as he says he is, but at that particular time, at that particular moment, at Tier 1's New Hope, he wasn't as predictable as, he wasn't as unpredictable as he claimed to be, because obviously we saw what his motives were. He was complaining that he wasn't on the show. And October 2nd, I see right through him. He's not this unpredictable, unstoppable killing machine. I've seen and come across a lot of people like JGeorge, and it's not going to be a cakewalk in the park, but it's definitely going to be something interesting for him because he's going to encounter a man unlike any other that he's ever stepped in the ring before. So Ashley America as well. She is a very, very ferocious competitor. I've watched her in many different companies. I've had the opportunity to, grace the same locker room as her at AIPOV as well. I've seen what she's capable of, and she's a tough cookie. I don't, I'm not one to put my hands on a woman, but given the fact that this is a fight, this is a match October 2nd, if she puts her hands on me, I'm going to have no other choice but to respond in an accordingly manner. So, as I said, it's going to be something that it's going to have a lot of meaning behind, the match itself. There's a lot of weight behind there. So if we lose, someone's going to lose their job. If we win, and in all essence we will, Jessie Brooks is going to have, redemption for losing her moment at, New Hope.
Now, the match is, if you guys win, and I honestly think you guys will, does Jessie Brooks face JGeorge at that same show, or is it at the next Tier 1 show?
I would hope that she would wrestle him right then and there, whoop his ass in front of the whole world to see. But that I am unclear of. I do believe it could possibly be at the next show. But either way, we're going into this match with the mindset of allowing her to keep her job. And given the circumstance that if Tier 1 management wants to allow her to have the same match the same night, either way, I think it's a win-win for the fans. I think it's a win situation for her. But given the circumstance, I do believe that it might come down to JGeorge versus Jessie Brooks at the next show. But as I said, I wouldn't mind it for it to be right then and there, because the girl busts her ass. She works hard. She's a workhorse. And as I said, he just, that on that particular night, it just wasn't his night, and he decided to make it his night by allowing to steal her moment and her shine away. And I just think that when that time comes, and it will come, whether it be on that night, October 2nd, or on the following show, Jessie Brooks is going to decimate JGeorge in front of the whole world to see.
Excellent. Now, you were at A New Hope, obviously, as was I. What was your favorite match at that show, that first show?
Oh man, that is very hard to say, because watching everyone perform on that particular night, it had a lot of meaning to what they were doing, because it was the debut of a brand new show, and a lot of people are going to be skeptical at first. They're going to wonder what's the product all about, and I think every match itself told an individual story. From Grand Akuma to Sonny Kiss, which was one of my favorites. Sonny Kiss being a young competitor coming up on the independent ranks, busting his ass against someone like Grand Akuma, who is an absolute monster in the ring. That was a match that I would say was one of my favorite matches, because here you had this, young blood coming up trying to make a name for himself by proving that he can hang with the likes of Grand Akuma. And then you had Kyle the Beast and Falaba, which was a groundbreaking match. I mean, I thought personally that the match was so intense that the ropes were going to break from the ring. It was just really intense. You had the main event, of course, with Luke Hawx, Rude Boy Riley, Tommaso Ciampa, and Mike Bailey, and that right there, you had four of the best on the indies right now, in the world right now, battling for the prestigious Tier 1 Heavyweight Championship. It was just amazing. So it's very hard to choose from, because there were a lot of matches on that night that, captivated people, that took the breath away from people. And for me personally, I wouldn't have to say that I have a favorite, but I would say that I enjoyed the entire show as a whole, and I was just blown away by the amount of work that the people put into their matches.
Oh yeah, I came from Central Jersey up there.
Right.
It was a 2+ hour drive for me and my friend, and
holy crap.
Yeah, and it was worth every second sitting in that car. It was worth getting lost, because it was a phenomenal show. There was not a single bad match on that card. My personal favorite match was Falaba versus Kyle the Beast.
Well, that was a devastating match. I thought someone was going to walk out, on a stretcher.
Yeah, they need to book a rematch, somewhere.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they're both incredible athletes. For big men, I would say that just the velocity in which they were trading shots and colliding, it was just, I personally enjoyed every moment of it. I couldn't wait to see what was the outcome of that match. But I agree. I do think that Kyle the Beast and Falaba should have one more go. But as I said, I mean, for me, I live around Queens, and for me to make the drive and just be a part of this was something very monumental, because as I said, you can be a part of a regular show on a regular basis, but being a part of a show for its debut presentance, I think, is just very, very humbling because we've all known to come across companies that have made their debuts. For example, you've had companies in the past that made their debuts that made an impact in the world of professional wrestling, such as Ring of Honor and CZW and Evolve and Dragon Gate. So you know that their first ever shows were cemented in their legacy as going down as one of the best. And obviously people remember those matches because those matches were the foundation of, how the company was built. So I'm very humbled and very grateful to be a part of that, to be a part of the debut show and witnessing these guys bust their ass, the men and women, to just go on ahead and prove a point to the world. And as I said, going back to what I said, Jessie Brooks, she had her moment, and JGeorge took it away, and it's time for some payback to come about October 2nd.
Oh, definitely. Now, I've got to see Jessie Brooks wrestle a couple times, and all I got to say is, holy shit, for a female wrestler, she can go.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, this show coming up, the show on October 2nd, we still don't know who Luke Hawx is facing, but yet there's still already a killer card. You got DJ Hyde versus Leo Rush. You got Tim Donst, who's going to be there. You got the six-way elimination match featuring Mike Verna, Sonny Kiss, who we talked about, Mr. Touchdown, yep. Mr. Touchdown, Mark Angel, Bobby De Niro, and Eric Draven, plus one more person. You have Savannah versus Vanity, two amazing female wrestlers that are gonna be on the pre-show. There's just so much talent, and you have what's his name, Rude Boy Riley taking on Joey Adams. I can't think of his name.
Joey Yates, yeah. Along with
Joey Yates.
Along with Caveman versus VSK, and one of my personal matches that I'm looking forward to is the Grant Akuma versus Caleb Conley.
Yeah, I've seen Akuma wrestle in other companies, and I knew he could go, but I usually see him against guys like his size or bigger. He was going up against a much smaller Sonny Kiss and had to adapt, and I thought Sonny Kiss had that match personally.
Oh, absolutely. Sonny Kiss is an incredible athlete, and just having to bestow and having to watch Sonny Kiss being able to hang with someone like Grant Akuma. Grant Akuma's been everywhere. He's done everything. He's wrestled countless matches with countless names, and to have Sonny Kiss out there, which shout out to Sonny Kiss, he's an incredible guy, go out there and steal the show with Grant Akuma. I have no doubt that Grant Akuma is once again going into this match against Caleb Conley, a wrestler that I wrestle personally, who is an extraordinary athlete. Caleb Conley is a killer in the ring, and I think that match is going to be one of my little personal favorites to look forward to because I've never had the chance to step in the ring with Grant Akuma. I've always wanted to. I've had the opportunity to grace the ring with Caleb Conley, and Caleb is he's an absolute monster, and having to watch his matches prior to mine with him when he wrestled Ricochet over at Evolve, and Caleb's been through a lot, and now his ultimate challenge, I believe, is Grant Akuma, and that's going to be some of my personal matches. Looking forward to that. And you got Caveman versus VSK. You have, as I said, you have Style and Finesse versus the Bravado Brothers. There's a lot. This is going to be a very stacked card. And as you said, the one match that hasn't been announced is the Luke Hawx match. We don't know who Luke Hawx is going to face. And my personal intake on Luke Hawx is that, yeah, he is an arrogant son of a bitch. He's a very narcissistic person. He does think that the South, reigns supreme over professional wrestling. But throughout all that trash talk that he disputes, the guy backs it up, and he backed it up at New Hope when he, beat Tommaso Ciampa, Mike Bailey, and Rude Boy Riley for that title. So I'm actually very anxious to see who Luke is going to be stepping in the ring with as well.
Now, obviously it won't be you as you're in a match. Do you have any personal preferences as to who you'd like to see Luke face?
Oh man, well that's a very good question. I would love to see someone just step in the ring and just shut Luke Hawx up, especially after New Hope. Yeah, after the epic encounter with Mike Bailey, Tommaso Ciampa, and Rude Boy Riley, he got on the mic and he was pretty much just spewing a load of hot garbage. And the only person who had stepped up to Luke Hawx at the time was Homicide. So I think that Homicide and Luke Hawx would be a great encounter, given the fact that I think Homicide would just completely decimate Luke Hawx. But personally, I don't really know as of right now. There are a lot of competitors on the roster that I would love to see, go up against Luke Hawx. Luke Hawx, as I said, from Wildcat Sports Wrestling, he's an incredible athlete, a very dangerous competitor in the ring. That's why they call him the Southern Stomper, and he backs up everything he says. But needless to say, on October 2nd, whoever he's going to face, I think it's going to be very interesting, not only for him because he will be defending the World Heavyweight Championship for the very first time. As much as I wish it was me, I would hope for someone out there to, rise to the occasion and prove to this guy that, talk is cheap and actions speak way louder than words.
Yeah, now, there's somebody that was actually in that four-way that I would like to see him face one-on-one. I don't think he could win that match, and that's Mike Bailey, who's on absolute fire right now.
Oh, absolutely. Mike Bailey is a very rare competitor. At first sight, you may not think that he is as deadly as they say he is, but he truly is. It was an honor to have watched him perform that night and just bust his ass for that crowd. And Mike Bailey, I would say, is one of the most underrated guys on the indies right now. He is a very, very gifted competitor. So having to see him, as you said, go up against Luke Hawx in a one-on-one match, I do think that it would give Luke Hawx a run for his money, and I do believe that it would challenge Luke Hawx and push him to his very core. But yeah, I mean, Mike Bailey is definitely a person that I would see and love to see face Luke Hawx, along with, I believe, Rude Boy Riley. I think Rude Boy Riley and Luke Hawx, they definitely had some intertwined spark between them towards the end of the four-way. And I personally saw Rude Boy had it right in the bag until Luke Hawx was able to execute him towards the end. But as I said, whether it be Mike Bailey, Rude Boy Riley, Tommaso Ciampa again, I think whoever it is, I think they would push Luke Hawx to the limit and test him as a champion for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and with Mike Bailey, he won CZW's Best of the Best. He almost won PWG's Battle of Los Angeles, which was, I believe, won by Trevor Lee. No, not Trevor Lee, Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
But I would personally love to see Mike Bailey back, and if the promoters of Tier 1 are listening right now, book Speedball again.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I would love to have Mike Bailey around again. He was an awesome person, very humble guy. He's not, I wouldn't say he's the largest of men. He's not the most, muscular people, but the guy sure does pack a wallop, and he was kicking ass that night, and I personally enjoyed it. I mean, having to grace the locker room with him and people like, Tommaso Ciampa and all these guys, it was just a very humbling experience, and just a lot of surprises wait October 2nd, that's for sure. And a lot of people, I would often say, have, opinions for Tier 1. And, for me personally, I believe that opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one and it stinks. So if you guys have any sort of doubt towards Tier 1 as a product, I would say just come on by October 2nd and get proven wrong, because Tier 1 is the premier company in New York right now that's on the rise, and it has a lot to prove, and it's going to prove that October 2nd for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And not to mention that night, the night of the first Tier 1 show, you guys were going up against House of Glory.
Yeah.
Which main event I think was Chris Dickinson, Danny Maff.
It was actually NXT's Rhino versus the Amazing Red.
Okay, Rhino Red was the headliner, but Moss Dickinson was on the card.
Right.
Okay, my apologies to House of Glory. But and you guys went up against them, your debut show, and it looked pretty sold out to me.
I mean, absolutely. We did have competition on that particular night, and for the people that came out to see, Tier 1, all I could say personally from a worker standpoint is thank you so much for supporting the product. Again, it's the debut show. You can't expect to draw 1 million people. People will be skeptical. People will have opinions. But that's why ultimately opinions are made to be proven wrong. And I think a lot of people were proven wrong on that night. And I am very familiar with the House of Glory brand. I was once there. And on that particular night, having to go up against them, it was very different, because it was a moment for where I would normally be on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I would be on the other side of the fence. But on that particular night, just every single person had a lot to prove, including myself, especially me, because having to come from there, it made up for lost times, I guess you could say. So it was a very great experience. So, I mean, whether it was one person or whether it was 1,000 people in the building, I am very, very grateful for anyone out there who showed their support and supported the product and believed that Tier 1 was going to be the best on that particular night.
Okay, now let me ask you this. You said you come from House of Glory. Would you ever go back to House of Glory?
Well, in the world of professional wrestling, they often say never. And if by some chance, by the grace of God, if there were an opportunity for me to go back, would I go back? Of course I would. But there have been, and it's very interesting. It's been a very interesting year, I guess you could say, for me, in terms of myself and the House of Glory brand. Tend to do things a little differently than how they used to. Granted, certain things aren't the same. The overall formula is still there for their product. I would say for them, if either one of them are ever watching, I would say just best of luck to you, and continue to do what you guys have to do, because we're going to continue to do what we have to do over here. And I wouldn't say there were any bad blood between myself or them. I do respect every single competitor on that brand. I do respect greatly, especially my trainer, the Amazing Red, who has trained me, along with Mr. BXL. They've given me the opportunity to shine and be featured in multiple places. But things happen, I guess you could say. Things change, and certain things allow certain people to change. So I just think that during the time and given the circumstances, it was just my moment to go on ahead and leave the flock, I guess you could say, and just find a new home. And what a fitting way to find a new home than having to be a part of a new hope. So would I ever go back? I would. I would go back, because at the end of the day, personal feelings ought to be separated from business standpoints, because I think that was one of the primary reasons why I was featured at A New Hope rather than their product brand that night, because personal feelings and business decisions intertwine, and that affected a lot of things. So, but would I go back? I would. But as of right now, I'm unsure about the future. I'm not a genie. I wish I were a genie, because I would be able to see into the future. But right now, my primary focus is just consistently training, getting in there, just learning new things. Every day is a new learning experience. So I am just focused and prepped on October 2nd, because for myself personally, I have a lot to prove to so many people. And obviously, someone's job is on the line, and I would like to help allow that person to keep their job. So just everything rides on October 2nd, and that's primarily what I'm focused on.
Now, let me ask you this, because I didn't ask you this before. How long have you been wrestling?
I have been wrestling since January of 2013. I've been wrestling for over 2.5 years, but I've been training for 3. I remember when I first made my, I guess you could say, in-ring wrestling debut, it was at the House of Glory in a fatal 4-way match, and it was just an overall surreal experience. And given the fact that I come from a very harsh neighborhood, I come from a very harsh background, And I never would have thought I would be able to, as they say, quote unquote, live your dream. And it's just a very surreal experience having to go through training, having to understand the business, aspect from many different levels. And for the time being that I've been wrestling for 2.5 years now, I am very grateful of every opportunity, of every match that I've had, and it's been a learning experience. I think that every person consistently learns throughout their experiences in life, and I've learned a lot of things having to share the locker room with multiple people. I've shared locker rooms with WWE superstars. I've shared locker rooms with TNA superstars. I've shared locker rooms with guys that are now presently one of the biggest stars in WWE, and I am very grateful to have obtained knowledge from these people and having to learn a lot. So I've been wrestling for 2 years now, 2.5 years, and it's just been a blessing without any injury, thank God, because we know how injury can come about in wrestling, and it's just very dangerous. A lot of people often say, wrestling isn't really what it's made out to be, but it actually is. People get hurt, people's careers get cut short, and I have been very fortunate not to get injured because, I just prep myself the best way I can to avoid injury. But 2.5 years is my wrestling trademark right now.
All right. Now, in your 2.5 years, who's been your favorite opponent?
Oh, man, that's actually very difficult. I wrestled tons of guys that were just great. I would say just recently I wrestled the monster 6'5" TJ Marconi. He was very different, I would say, because he was the first competitor that I've wrestled and fought that was actually bigger than me. And I'm a big guy. I'm about 6'2". TJ's 6'5", 6'6". He's a monster. So wrestling him was very interesting. It was very fun. TJ was very fun to work with. I would also say one of my personal favorites was with Broadway, Ken Broadway. He was a very interesting cat. Whooped his ass, he whooped mine, but the overall atmosphere and the connection was there. I've wrestled, Mark Quinn. Mark Quinn, I think, is definitely one of my favorites. Having to wrestle Mark Quinn, he is a very phenomenal athlete, very different, I guess you could say, in the ring. Being in there with him was just, and I've wrestled Mark Quinn all over. I've wrestled him in Maine. I've wrestled him in Pennsylvania, New York. I've wrestled him several places. So Mark Quinn is definitely one of my personal favorites. I have wrestled another personal favorite of mine that I think was a slugger was a man by the name of Jeremy Prophet. I wrestled him over in IWE, and that was just a very interesting battle, I guess you could say, because it was almost as if you had the American versus the Canadian, and he was possibly, and I still believe, one of the best in his native countries. And having to go up against Jeremy Prophet was very, very fun in and of itself. But there have been, so many people that I've encountered that I've worked with that was just, very, very good. And I would say every competitor has some sort of favoritism to me in different respects. Every opponent that I've come across, I have favored in different respects. But just off the top of my head, those would be the people that I would say were like on the top of my personal favorite list for now, at least. There are many other things to come, many more opportunities that I am looking forward to, and I cannot wait to see what the cards hold in the deck for me. But as of right now, I would say those would be some of my personal favorites.
Awesome. Now, who are you looking forward to facing in the future? Kind of like a dream match for you.
Oh man. That is very it's a very good question. Now I'm not one to try to go on a limb and demand for any sort of match. I think that if I do just so happen to wrestle somebody on a caliber of Chris Hero, Ricochet, Drew Gulak, Johnny Gargano, Zack Sabre, Biff Busick, whoever it might be, I think it'll come with opportunity and it'll come with the respect that I've earned it. There have been multiple people that I would, say that I would love to have a dream match with. Now, if I were to say specifics, if I had to choose, specific people, I would love to have a match with King Ricochet. I think King Ricochet is an elite. I think King Ricochet is definitely a athlete that molds himself, behind his own craft. And I think having a match with him would just be a dream in and of itself for me, because I've been watching King Ricochet for quite some time now. And just like me, he started off from the bottom and he worked his way up to the top. And, being the top of his game, I think that'll be a very interesting dynamic to have. If I had to, go about and choose, other competitors, I would love to wrestle Caleb one more time. I wrestled him in Ohio, and that was just very fulfilling for me, because he was a tremendous athlete. So I would say Caleb Conley. So we have King Ricochet, Caleb. I would also say probably someone along the lines of Adam Cole. I remember Matt Stryker used to call me the young Adam Cole when he would see me over at the House of Glory a couple of years ago. And just recently when I saw him, he was just like, you remind me of a young me and stuff. So, I would definitely love to, square it up with Adam Cole if the opportunity was there. But just in general, I would say anyone who comes, my way would just be a very humbling grace. I also think if I had to pick one more, I would say in a one-on-one contest, I would love to have a match with my trainer, the Amazing Red. I would love to have a one-on-one match with him, given the fact that I would have so much to prove to him, and he's been a very interesting dynamic in my life as well. And I think having to have a match with him, would be very, very awesome. I've wrestled actually him and Mikey Whipwreck years ago in a tag team match, but never had the opportunity to dance with him one-on-one. So I think that'll be very interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's several guys. I mean, the list just keeps going on and on and on. But as I said, whatever comes my way, I would be very grateful and thankful for it regardless.
Very cool, very cool. Now, we're starting to wrap up here. We're getting near the end of the show. I meant to ask you this earlier. I usually do these questions in the beginning. Where have you wrestled? What companies, other than House of Glory and coming up Tier 1?
Well, I've wrestled House of Glory, Tier 1 Wrestling. I've wrestled at the IWE. I've wrestled at EPW, WER, RPW, NEFW, formerly RPW. I have wrestled at the Ludas Pro Wrestling in Ohio. I wrestled at the Lucha Company over at Toronto, Canada. There have been so many places that I have wrestled, and so many more doors for me to open, which I am just looking forward to greatly. But there have been some that I'm probably just forgetting right now. But there have been so many that I can't even just keep accounting for. But there have been multiple companies that have been there that I have competed in thus far, and as I said, many more to come.
Very cool. All right, so we are starting to get wrapped up for the show. Where can we find you on social media?
Well, you guys can go on ahead and add me on Facebook at Alex Mason. If you are interested in possibly watching some of my matches and or promos, you guys can go on ahead and find me on YouTube at Alex Mason 47, or you guys can go on ahead and check me out on Instagram and follow me on there at Alex Mason 47. Huge 007 fan, but Agent 47 has always been my thing. So Alex Mason 47.
I'm actually going to subscribe to you right now on YouTube because I want to see. It says it has no videos. Alex Mason 47.
All in one word, yes. You should be able to find something.
That's what I did. Alex, I swear, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh yeah, it's definitely there. Just Alex Mason 47, all in one word, and there should be something that pops up. Definitely. I mean, if anything, I'll just send you the link. But YouTube is a very funny place at times. But yeah.
I was gonna say, spelled Alex wrong. I'm an idiot.
Oh Lord.
All right, so Alex, I thank you for taking part of your very busy day and talking to me, getting ready for Tier 1 A New Hope. And I will see you trust me, the pleasure was all mine, and I will see you October 2nd, as I already have a ticket. I cannot wait.
Thank you so much. And for those of you out there watching this that are fans of myself, you guys can go on ahead and tune in to blogtalkradio.com for all latest news, information, and updates on professional wrestling, independent professional wrestling, and interviews that you guys would have your minds blown. And I would really recommend for you guys to go on ahead and check out the broadcast and tune in to, the broadcast live on the air. And for those of you guys out there watching this, follow them at Blog Talk Radio. And once again, John, thank you so much. It's been a very humbling experience and a pleasure, because this was actually my first ever, podcast interview, I guess you could say. So I am very grateful for the opportunity, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, definitely. Awesome. And we'll talk more in 4 weeks when we're both in New York.
Definitely. Looking forward to it.
All right, Alex. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, man. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Alex Mason, his first ever interview. Everybody comes on my show to do their first ever interviews. I love it. Much thanks to Alex for coming on, and gonna get ready to get wrapped up here. Oh wow, wow! You really did add a lot of stuff in here, Sean. All right, so Alex, I don't know if you're still listening, but you're welcome. But all right, so gonna get out of here. Gonna play the music of Federated to leave. Plus, I love this music so very much. But I'm hoping to get on Wednesday. I should have Colin West from Change the World Wrestling. We're going to talk to the big show on Sunday. I hope to get somebody else from Tier 1 in at the end of this week. But until then, follow me on Twitter at JohnPMayer80. Follow me on Instagram at john.p.mayer. Tune into all the shows in the Nerdport Network. There should be a wrestling debate tomorrow night. Wednesday, hope to have an independent point of view. Thursday, hopefully Dirty Divas. Friday, hopefully another independent point of view. Weekends, check out The Blind Side. Listen to all the other podcasts I plug at a daily basis. Shining Wizards, 2.5 Wrestlers, another wrestling podcast. Turnbuckle Throwbacks, Inconclusive Breakdown. Midnight Jury, After Midnight. Yeah, just go listen to podcasts. But until then, and until the next time we do another part of the Tier 1 project, as always, support independent wrestling, and good night.